Today we are making a crochet scrunchie, and it's very simple to make and fun. You can make them with all types of stitches, but we'll be using a very easy and simple single crochet stitch. So this will be perfect for beginners. We're going to start off with our yarn. This is about a light bulky weight yarn, and it's a polyester blend that fills and looks like velvet, which is really fun because it has a nice kind of coloring to it and texture. So this will give some dimension to your scrunchie. So you'll need that. You'll need some elastic. This is much longer than you'll need, but we're going to cut this into a shorter piece, about 8 inches. You should be able to make more than one scrunchie. You'll need a 6.5 crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, and I have 2 here. This one is plastic, this one is metal. It doesn't matter which one you have. What really matters is that the end of your tapestry needle is pretty wide because we want it to be able to accommodate the elastic that we have. You'll need a tape measure, and optional is a stitch marker. So we'll be working in continuous rounds as we're crocheting, and if you'd like to use a stitch marker to help you mark the beginning and ending of your round, you can do so. I won't be using one as I crochet, but for the newbies out there, I would say use a stitch marker if that makes you feel more comfortable keeping track of where you are in the project. And so if you have all those things, we are ready to get started. So grab your yarn and your crochet hook, and we can get started. So take your finger, and you're going to have the yarn looped around your pointer finger. This is the end of the yarn, and then this side is still attached. It's the side that's attached closest to your ball of yarn. Take your thumb and insert it in that same area as well, and then turn your hand, and that causes the yarn to make an X. And then you'll take your fingers and grab the yarn that's closest to your ball of yarn and pull up that loop, and it makes a knot. And what I like about this knot is that it's adjustable. So you can make this loop smaller by just pulling the yarn that's on the other side, and that will tighten it up. So now that you have your knot and you have your first loop around your crochet hook and it's nice and tight, you're going to take the piece of yarn that's closest or attached to your ball of yarn, and you're going to use that to create a chain. And you do that by wrapping your yarn over your crochet hook from behind and then pulling it through the loop that's on your hook to create another loop. And so we've created one chain. And so we need to create a total of 8 chains, so we're going to do that again. And so now, once you have your 8 chains, I'm going to make sure that it's not twisted or anything. And so now what we're going to do is take the beginning end of our chain, and we're going to connect it to this end of our chain with a slip stitch. And then we'll work in a circle the entire time to make the fabric that makes our scrunchie. So we'll be using the single crochet stitch. And to make a single crochet stitch, you'll do the following steps. So first you'll take your hook and insert it into the next chain. You'll wrap your yarn over your hook, and you'll pull up a loop. And so at this point, you should have 2 loops on your hook. So then to finish your single crochet stitch, you'll wrap your yarn over your hook again and pull it through 2. And now you have your first single crochet stitch. And then we're going to repeat this all the way around. So once again, you'll go to the next chain and insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, then you'll yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and you created another one. Now, as you can see, it's a little hard to see your stitches, but if you look at it this way, You can see the tops of your stitches, they look like little V's. So here's our first one, here's our second one. And so now we're going to continue around. Okay, so here we've completed our first 8 stitches. And at this point, if you'd like to use a stitch marker to notate the end of that round, you can. And what you would do is take your stitch marker and just hook it around the top of the stitch here. And then as you work around, once you get to the stitch marker again, you will remove it from this stitch and put it on the end stitch for the next round. So now what we're going to do is continue working in the circle. So you'll insert your hook into the next stitch. This time we're working through the tops of the stitches because we've crocheted into all of our chains. And we'll continue doing the same thing. Yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. And you want to continue working in this spiral until you have a total of 50 rows. And I'll come back once I've completed the 50 rows. And just a quick tip, you can check to see what row you're on. So if you take a close look at your work, you can see your stitches. And also you can kind of see these little lines here. And so if you're looking at this, you can see that I have 1, 2, 3 rows. And so I'm going to continue working until I have 50. And then I'll come back and I'll show you how we complete the next part of this project. So here's the completed tube of fabric. As you can see here, I have 50 rows or 50 rounds. And just to measure it, it's a little bit, it's about 19 inches here. So you can make it a little longer if you want, but I think this is a perfect length for our elastic. And so we're gonna stop here. What I want you to do now is measure some of your yarn here that's still attached to the end and make sure it's about the same length as your tube. And then I want you to take your scissors and cut the yarn here. And we're gonna use this long piece of yarn to seam our ends together at the end, but we just wanna make sure that it's long enough. So once you cut that, you can take your hook here and just want to finish this off by wrapping the yarn over and pulling your yarn all the way through and just pulling it tight, and that'll make sure that your stitches don't come apart here. And then we can set this to the side. So now you want to take your piece of elastic and we are going to measure out a piece that is 8 inches long. So take your measuring tape and lay it here. This will be like a regular size scrunchie. If you do want to make it a little bit longer, you can. But if you do that, make sure to make your tube of fabric a little bit longer as well. Here's my 8 inches, and then I'm going to cut it here. All right, so now we get to feed it through our tube. Okay, so now that you have your tube, your long tail, and you've cut your 8-inch piece of elastic, I want you to grab your tapestry needle. It can look like this or like this, it's just fine. We just want something that has a large enough end to fit the elastic through. And I want you to feed your piece of elastic through the end of your tapestry needle. And then take it and tie a loose knot so that the elastic stays attached. As you can see, I plan to feed this through the tube, and then this will make sure that it doesn't come off while we're feeding it through. So once you have your elastic tied to your tapestry needle, I want you to take your crochet hook, and we're going to use this to kind of help us scrunch the fabric over our hook, and this will make it a lot easier to feed the tapestry needle through. So just scrunch it up as much as you can. then we will hold it like this. So once you have your fabric slid over your hook, I want you to take a finger from your left hand and slide it in to get as far as you can. You don't have to get it all the way through, but this is going to help you guide your tapestry needle through without accidentally sewing it through the fabric of your scrunchie. So then take your tapestry needle, holding it against your hook to kind of keep it close to it, slide it on into the hole until you feel your finger, and then you can use your finger to help guide it through to the other side. And as you can see, I'm sliding it through. And then I want you to make sure you hold this end so you don't lose it inside of it, and then hold it together like this and slide your crochet hook out. So now you can, if it hasn't already come untied, you can untie. So now once you untie the elastic from the tapestry needle, take the two ends and tie them together. And I would tie it into a double knot to make sure it's nice and secure. A double knot or a triple knot is great because you will be putting a lot of pressure on the knot when you're using it. You want to make sure that it's nice and secure and that it stays in place. So I've got my triple knot here. And now, as you can see, our scrunchie is already starting to form. And so the last part is to take our tail here and to sew our two ends together. Okay, so I've sewn the ends, I've sewn around this part twice, and now I'm ready to finish it off. And what I like to do is finish off with a knot, and then I like to weave my ends inside of the scrunchie. So what you can do is take your needle, hold a bit of your yarn with your left hand, and take your needle, insert it into your scrunchie, and then insert your needle through the back of the loop you're holding so you can tie a knot. Make it nice and tight, and then you're done. Now I'm going to take my needle, insert it into the scrunchie, and then pull the yarn through, and then I will take my scissors and cut off the extra yarn here. And now you're all done. And you have a nice little scrunchie. And you should be able to tie it at least twice. Or you can wear it on your wrist. That is super easy to make. And for this one, like I said, we only used the simple single crochet stitch, but you could play around and use other stitches, like a single crochet in the back loop or single crochet in the third loop, and any of those will give your scrunchie a very fun texture. So I hope you enjoyed, and I can't wait to see the things that you all create. Bye!